Okay, welcome along everybody. Can you hear me over there in Tallinn? Hello, are you there? Yeah, cool, righto. Okay, so today guys, we're going to do a bit on working smart. So working smart and not hard. One of the clever aspects of ArchiCAD. So something we see around here a lot is people modeling up and doing stuff in a hurry and it ending up being inaccurate, you know, things not joining nicely, or walls and slabs not meeting in the same point, things like that. Now, one of the beauties of ArchiCAD is that since about version, I think it's 12 or 15, somewhere in there, it's been recognizing similar surfaces. So if you have two walls on top of each other, you know, ground floor and upper story, or a wall with a slab and then a wall above it, as long as they all line up and all have the same surface material, ArchiCAD recognizes this and makes it one material in the elevations and things like that. So today we're going to go through and just have a quick look at why working cleanly and smartly is better than doing all the workarounds that we quite often do to try and fix up our lazy modeling. So as you can see here, I have got the same floor plan repeated twice. The one on the left is done nice and cleanly. If we zoom up on it, so you can see there, all nice and clean. The one on the right isn't so, but you wouldn't tell if you didn't know what you were looking for. This one here, I have got some errors in the floor plan of only 1 millimeter, and you'll see later on just how much of a problem that can cause you, or how much extra work not taking the time to match that 1 millimeter up can cause you. So if you look at these floor plans here, this one here and the previous one, you probably can't tell too much difference. But if we zoom up into the doors here, I have set this up so that the doors are picking up their label from the zones. So this line of doors are picking up the door label, so the O1 here, from the room that it's going into. And on these ones here, I've experimented a little bit different and set up the door so that we open up the object so that it picks up the label and creates, what's on the other screen, there's a mouse pointer. Sorry. So in the lettera here, it picks up the door label from the room that it's going into, as well as the zone that it's coming from. So close it off. And so here you'll see that it's DO102, so it's coming from zone 01 to zone 02, and DO203 from 02 to 03. So that's all working nice and cleanly. These doors have all got their labels. This one here I've done quite a wee bit differently. We've given the door a label. We've given it a label, its ID, as well as separate zone markings from where it's coming and where it's going. So you can see there it's picked all those up nice and cleanly. But if we come across to this one here, because we are just 1 millimeter out, because we were in a hurry to model this one up, we had a deadline looming, it has missed out on some of the labeling on the doors. Now we could go through and fix that up by labeling them manually if we really wanted to get it out in a hurry. But that means that every time we change something, maybe a zone number or something like that, then we have to remember that that door is being done differently and go through and fix it up. Or if we've done it on the whole project, we have to go through and do all of the doors manually. So yeah, so by having taken the time to put our zones and lined each zone up with the corner of the wall here, if we click on here, we can see that all of our points, all of our points are nicely laid over each other there. Yet if we come across to this side, I think it was, no, that one was all right. I think it was at the other end. But one of these, this is how hard it is to pick up, but one of these points here is just a millimetre out because I didn't take the time to line it up with the tick mark in ArchiCAD. So when you're placing things like zones, it's a good idea to, or anything really, to zoom up close sometimes and make sure that the tick mark comes up, because that means you've got the ready-made point. So rather than just coming close and banging your zone down or whatever, take the time to do that. So now that's how it works with the zones. Now if we go back across to the elevations, now here we go, and the south elevation. There's a south elevation on one building, and here's the south elevation on the other building. Now you can't really tell much difference there, but one of these is just modeled raw out of ArchiCAD, this one here. And this one here is because I didn't take the time to match everything up. I went through and did what we do quite often here, and that's put a fill over the outside so that we could hide all the messy line work. Now, if I hide that layer, we can actually see how ArchiCAD's modeled it up. Now, these differences are only, as I say, 1 millimeter. Yeah. So that's the sloppy model, and then this is raw ArchiCAD of the same building, just having taken that extra second of time to line everything up. Now, one other thing is one of that one there is because ArchiCAD recognises the same materials and makes them all a solid surface. I've also, in this one, inadvertently, where are we? Hold on, bring it across to the right screen again. I have inadvertently put this as paint glossy white, whereas the walls are paint titanium white. So for ArchiCAD, that's different materials, so it's going to always delineate the two different elements. So if I now go through, it's not going to fix it completely, but if I go through and change that to titanium white, it hasn't changed it there, but I think it's one of these other elevations that you would, yes, so it's just fixed it up here that the bottom one is in line, so it's recognised that this wall and this slab are the same material now. So if I was to undo that change and go back to the east elevation, it's recognising a separate. So yes, it's when we're modelling, it's a good idea to keep in mind what we're doing and how things are going to look at the end of the project, or at the end of the model, so that we can use the power of ArchiCAD to do our work for us. Now, if we were to go back and say, okay, we've been in a hurry and we have done our fills, well, I'll turn that fill back on. Where are we? Elevations. Okay, so now that we've got our, sorry, fill back on. Okay, so this is all nice and clean. We've been in a hurry. We decided that we'll just go with the fill method. Now we've decided that, hold on, all these windows are the wrong size. So if we go back to the ground floor, say, and we want to extend all the windows. So if we'll do this there and pull this one here. And also we'll do that in the tidy model, so we'll stretch that out there and one there. Okay, so that is the east elevation. So if we go back to the east elevation, and this is the sloppy model, but if we go back to, so this one here, okay, ArchiCAD's already tidied everything up for us. We haven't had to do a thing, but because we were in a hurry and we put the fill over on that one, it's still there. So now we actually, by trying to save time, we've now had to cause ourselves to go through and, you know, change this. So if we've changed 50 windows in that little elevation, say, that means we've got to go through and waste all that time putting fixing up our fill. Go back. So basically that was today's sort of session on working smart, using those points. Now, if you're going to, one thing I do is to actually quite often zoom up close when I'm doing my work to find where those points are, because sometimes you may have already placed something slightly out, and then you start placing stuff in all sorts of random places because, okay, the tick will still come up. If we go across to the other one, you know, this tick will still come up, but there's 2 points in there that are very close together, but you can't quite tell. So by starting out smart and working smart right the way through, then we don't have to spend all the time later on trying to work around. We'll leave the workarounds for Revit, I think. So basically, yeah, that's all for today. So thanks all for coming along, and we'll catch you all next week. Cheers.
I've got a question about just the labels for the zones. Is there a way to keep the labels sort of